better. I live over here fucking with the knobs and shit. Yeah.
From bazooka to bullet to shy loot tooth. Big worm smoke you out on the hood for that loot. Searching for Jerry Garcia.
So why'd you call the new album Raw Lessons?
Um, I've been using the raw theme, throughout a few records, and I think the raw lessons thing kind of came out of that first track that Curly and Illogic and Def C did. So it was like called that song Class. I know Def C's a teacher, and I kind of wanted it to be like this album had a lot of people from the past that were important to me, and that I think are important. Include them with newer up and coming people, and then it could even have the double entendre of like I'm always taking my lumps with these records, or like you think it's gonna do something, you put some money behind it, and you're just always like kind of learning these raw lessons that like it really doesn't matter who you put on a project. That doesn't mean it's going to be successful. You kind of just have to do it because you like to do it and love to do it, because there's no guarantees of anything really resonating or reaching what you think it's going to.
That's real. That's the story of the average hip hopper I speak to.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, when I talk to people who run labels, they're always doing, kind of talking the same thing. It's like, oh, we get so and so on it, and then maybe that song will do well. It's like, or the song with like the guy that nobody's heard of, maybe they like that one, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's like that you're at the mercy of the listener, so you can't like over analyze it.
Over the years, you've done a lot of projects with different MCs.
Mm-hmm.
What's the process like now, getting verses in the Raw Lessons era after you've built so many relationships?
I think it's definitely easier now. And I could do things where like, if I reach out to someone that like it's very connected with all the people in the underground. And like, I've been talking to people in Chicago now that I hadn't worked with. Like I've been talking to the guys in Gyroscope and Joshua Virtue and Rich Jones, and I'm like just reaching out to different people and trying to do more with people locally. And if I would have tried to do it 6 years ago, they might be like, I don't know who this guy is. But now it's definitely like a bit easier to kind of start a conversation. And I think I'd said to someone else, it's like I couldn't make this record, when I started in like the early 2000s, because it wasn't easy to reach out to people through email, like throughout the country or across the world. And now it's like, it really is connected where you can do work remote and, be someone that either has a kid or like, I'm older and I don't want to go out and like hang out in clubs, and like, that's fine. I could just do it this way,
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely shrunk the world, the internet. It's like,
Yeah. It's like all the shittiest people in the world don't now connect to. So it's kind of like double-edged sword.
yeah, you take the good with the bad, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of reaching out to people across the world, there's a good amount of UK MCs on Raw Lessons, and it gives it a different flavor.
Yeah.
Did you purposely try to have a good dose of European rappers on the project?
This one I definitely wanted to do UK rappers, because I had I work with Kid Acne. That was, we had already been working on things, but then when I did something for the UK label Group Brazil, he wanted to get certain UK MCs on there, and there were MCs that I wanted to get on his project, but because the UK is like such a smaller scene, he didn't want certain artists that are associated with other labels. So when I did this one, I could like get whoever I wanted, and there was no worry about So and so's with Blah Records and so and so's with High Focus Records, or these UK labels that like there's less pie to slice up there, so it's maybe a bit more competitive. But I definitely wanted UK MCs. I mean, I've been a fan of UK rap for like once I heard it, I was like, I just enjoyed it. The
Yeah,
accents, like I just thought it sounded cool. It wasn't off-putting to me.
yeah. Well, for me, I dig it now, but there was a time where I wasn't feeling it. I'm trying to think, who's that guy? Dizzy Rascal?
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
I
I
was
mean,
like,
it's like I
I don't
think
get
because
it.
some of it was coming out of like grime and the different tempos, whereas like a lot of the guys that we're working with now, it's like they're rapping on like what we would consider like underground hip hop beats
Yeah,
tempo wise at least. So it's like it's kind of in the same pocket.
yeah, boom bap stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll be damned if I don't say it. Don't give a damn if the radio don't play it. Well, okay then. I bought a gift for the occasion. Tripping in the Cayman, skinny dipping with this alien illin. Top dollar billing, cherishing the chillin'. I pop the valley, I'm a villain.
Class is my favorite song on the album. I love the singing through it and the guitar, the vocal
Mhm.
singing. Are those taken from two different records or is that the same sample source?
That I think that's the same on that
Okay.
one. That's like it's an Eastern European record. Like I really try and sample things that are going to be hard to find and not end up on Who Sampled. I mean, that's where it's like in some ways it hurts, like I'll hear beats and I'm like, yeah, it's really dope. I wouldn't touch that sample because I know that like someone's gonna say, oh, that was this. Like people are always going after like that dude Nicholas Craven, and I'm just like, he samples soul music. Like I don't know, like how angry can you get at a guy for looping soul music? It's like, okay, they found it. It's like
Yeah.
I'm more of a layering person with samples. So like I also don't want to get in the chop war with someone who's going to be able to chop it better than me. So I kind of like to try and find things that just like people haven't heard.
That's tough though.
It's very tough. I mean, I think jazz is always good because at least jazz, like when I layer jazz music, a lot of it that I'm looking at is always in the same key. So it layers nice and neat and you kind of create something new out of it. But yeah, it's like not sampling, soul music very much is hard. Because like you hear it and you're like, that's perfect. Like I hear it and I'm like, that's what I maybe would want to sample, but I'm just like I've set this rule for myself. So I'm just like not doing it.
Understandable. I get that. So what's in your production workstation?
It's pretty simple. It's really just technique going straight into a laptop and small mixing board, and then just a lot of records, which are always kind of in flux. I tend to nowadays just buy either like cheapos or I'll buy like two or three at a time from Dusty Groove if it's like kind of weird electronic stuff or whatever they call out sound, where it's a bit more experimental because there you could grab just great sounds for layering, putting on top of things. It's like to me, it's like that's just where I'm at with it right now. Like the way that Madlib was working on like the second Quaz album and that where it's just this kind of constantly distorted, kind of synthy jazz stuff.
So what software are you using?
Just Logic Express. It's like my laptop is ancient. It's like it's like from 2004 and like Logic Express like I don't think they even make it anymore. I haven't updated the operating system. I only use that thing for music. Like if I got to get something off of it, I use a jump drive. So it takes me a while to like learn the software. So like once I figured it out, like 4 years into it, then I started to feel like, good about it. But I don't have like any machines really or anything, just straight audio, just chopping it and moving it around.
That's dope, man.
It's fun. It's whenever I see like people, making beats though, I'm just like, can't do that. Like I don't know. Like I work only on headphones.
Nah, that's dope though. It's
Yeah.
whatever works for you, man.
Yeah, no, it's fun.
Yeah, yeah. So Spectacular Diagnostics, that's such a dope name. How did you come up with that name?
That was one, like I was really trying to come up with something, new that kind of sounded almost like a label name or something, but I really was something that like it sounds like something Ghostface would say. So that's kind of like where it's stuck. I just like had his voice in my head like saying it. I'm like, yeah, that sounds cool. I could imagine him saying that.
Totally, totally. That could be his next album.
Yeah, Spectacular Diagnostics. But
Yeah.
then yeah, it was also one where it's like the email's available. No one's using that.
Okay. Yeah, you're a step ahead of everybody, man.
Yeah.
Um, you have a song on the album called Crisp that's real mellow
Mhm.
and has no drums in it. When you create a song like that, how do you determine if the sample needs drums? And do you find that more MCs are drawn to that sound today?
I think now they are. I mean, I think, like I had been listening to like the one like thing that really jumps out at me is like those guys Feek and Lungs, like they're rhyming over things where it's just like a string sample, like just a note, and they're just, spitting over it. But like a song like Crisp, I always do melodies first before drums. So if it sounds good and if like the bass line is already kind of looping nice, then I'll kind of go, maybe it doesn't need drums. And I started taking drums out of certain things because, like, the one song on the record, Whispers in the Dark, when I gave that to Kashmir, it had drums on it. And he was just like, take them off, see what it sounds like without him. And once I did, I was like, okay, like it's kind of cool. I don't know how, how you're going to rap on it. But then he did. And then, it sounded good. But when you do it without drums, it always sounds like something you can't release until there's rapping on it. Like it sounds too simple to me. But once the rapping's on it, then you're just like, okay, this actually sounds really cool. Like they're filling all those pockets.
Hmm. Now, do you take that personally when an artist comes back and says, change this, do that, take this off?
I think it would depend on who it is. It's like someone like Kashmir, like he's a very good producer, and I've liked his raps for a long time. So like that was one where I was like, okay, we'll see how it is. He's definitely someone with a vision, and then he's got a metronome in his head, so it was easy for him. But yeah, with some people, I think I would take it personally. I usually don't get that, but if other people are like nitpicking at it a bit too much, it's like, god damn it, like I think it's fine.
It's tough, man. Okay. Who is the Raw Lessons album made for?
Really like older heads, you know what I mean? Like someone who'd appreciate that I got Mike Ladd on it, someone who'd like knows that like, the closer track like Juicelim like was one of the first guys that came out on Big Data. Um, People that like, appreciate the whole, backwoods camp and just like a Logic being on something. So it was really definitely for, like the grown up rap fans. So But then I think like the younger guys that I got on, like the people like Nah Really, that maybe someone hasn't heard, like he's super dope, like like I always like to try and get someone on there that like maybe I'm putting someone on to someone if they like haven't heard him before.
Okay. All right, man. Spectacular Diagnostics. Thank you for joining therealhiphop.com.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, sorry for the delay. The mom getting COVID and all that was just like, oh god damn it.
How is your mom?
She's good, like she had to get this like weird eye surgery that she just had now too. So it's like she's had a fun run.
Yeah, it's a lot at once, man.
Yeah.
Mm.
Parents get older, and then it's just like
Yeah, it's a lot. It's yeah, I don't want to talk about that. It's a
yeah, no, I
lot.
hear you. Yeah, exactly.
It makes you think about your own mortality and the future, and yeah, it's heavy, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. On that note, thank you once again, bro. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
No doubt.
All right, cool. I'll talk to you. Have a good
Peace.
one.
You too, man.
Peace.
The hell if I know, the speech should bleed to a wino. Bulletproof wallet, whole gift card from all Largo. Old habits, new guard flow, spectacular cargo. Don't wanna trade blows, so pray for an embargo. Nice day for a white wedding, tough sledding, packed, dwindling white rhino. That's just the way the die roll.